Right, I've hit record. It is literally recording.
We're on right now.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily the start.
No, you can edit this.
Yeah. See, you've already started.
Oh yeah, I'm game face, game voice. There's no face yet. This is audio only.
This is what it was like when I was trying to do filming stuff. I'd written a scene from a movie, and a friend and I were going to try and film it, and with me in front of the camera because he was helping me film it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, every time the camera was on me, I just started laughing or smiling. I was supposed to be acting angry, and I just kept smiling and looking I was flailing my arms around like I was shouting at someone, but
yeah.
I had this big grin on my face and I just couldn't get rid of it.
Well, there's no cameras around now, Josh. So
True.
Would it help if I looked away from you?
No,
what if I turn round and I face the other direction?
Just
you can talk to the back of my head.
Right, I think we're gonna have to go with Skype.
Yeah, I'll phone in from now on, but not Skype video, just audio, so you don't even have to look at my face.
Yeah, exactly. Right, I'll give it a go. Hello everyone and welcome. See, that's presenter voice.
Yes, you're already straight into presenter voice. You didn't skip a beat.
Nope. Hey everyone, welcome to Games, Movie, etc. See, I want to say the games. I've already messed it up.
Keep it in. Keep all of this in. This is gold, Josh. People will enjoy this.
It'll probably be in.
It'll humanize us.
It'll humanize somewhere. It just might not be in at the start. It might be outtakes during the credits.
Sure.
Hello everyone and welcome to. Yeah, see, I was thinking about someone else or something else that time. There's a Ricky Gervais show where they try to start season 5. Have you listened to the podcast?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I really wanted to try and do a podcast without referencing the Ricky Gervais show, but anyway, yeah, we're there trying to start season 5 and they kept this stuff in because they kept messing up.
It's good though. People enjoy it. I like it. Best
bits when Stephen Merchant says hello before Ricky introduces him. And he's like, I was just so excited to say hello. Right, here we go.
This is it.
And welcome to the first ever Games, Movies, etc. podcast. I am Josh. I will be the host. With me is Steve, who is a contributor on the website and my co-host.
Hello.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm very well.
You're looking good in your headphones.
Oh, thanks very much. I'm very excited to be here. They are very colourful. They're I don't know. Can we say brand names?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, Skull Candy. They're bright, almost fluorescent, greeny yellow Skull Candy headphones.
Okay, and the kind of thing you go running in, or you just wear them listening to music or games or what?
Oh, no, I don't. I don't go running in them. I don't go running full stop.
Fair point.
No, I got them for music and stuff like that. They're good. TK Maxx. My top tip for headphones.
I know, see, people keep telling me, every time I've said I need something randomly recently, they're like, TK Maxx. And it's like, what does this place do? It sounds like
a little bit of everything.
It's like the Argus of clothes shops, because I thought it was just a clothes shop. But
no,
not.
They do all those accessories too.
Yeah.
And now, admittedly, 9 times out of 10, you'll go in, you'll come away empty-handed. But if you persevere and you develop the mole claws for burrowing through all the stuff, all the stock, you'll find bargains to be had.
I see. Well, I was told that I could go find a poker set and I didn't, and I was very disappointed, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure you can go looking for things in particular.
Yeah.
I think you go to TK Maxx.
Yeah.
And something catches your eye.
Sure.
If you go with something in mind, you're coming away disappointed.
So you're just browsing for nothing in particular.
Yeah.
But you
pretty much.
You won't leave without something in your pocket.
Well, yes. That 1 time out of 10, anyway, that you find the gold.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think we went on a digression there towards TK Maxx.
We did.
So, yeah, this is our first podcast, which is in support of the website, Games, Movie, etc. The purpose of the website is to talk about games, movies, and anything else we want to talk about. Steve and I both being writers on the website. I keep saying website. How many times have I said
website?
Yeah, website. So We'll also hopefully have other contributors to the website and other people on the podcast in future weeks. I say weeks because we're doing one every week, isn't that right, Steve?
Oh, yes.
Ooh. Ooh. What was that?
Oh, I like that.
Wee bit of thunder.
Yeah.
I have
that
no
was
idea.
me.
No idea.
That was a dramatic exhalation.
Was that actually you?
I think it was, yeah. I really do.
Let me try and replicate it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There you go. Oh. See, now I'm sad because I thought I had some kind of mutant
powers.
ability.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I thought that I had
Thor.
yeah, like there was some kind of force projection type thing happen when I did that. But now you've made me realize that I'm totally normal.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, yeah. Sorry to point that out. But yeah, like the purpose of the site is to discuss. Now here's a problem. I can hear.
Yeah. That.
Oh, this is editing now.
No, don't edit this. Do not, under no circumstances, Josh, should you edit this out.
Well, we've just talked about, there's a problem in this. And
No, people will love it.
We're
people,
pointing at things though without actually saying what
no,
we're
people see, right. I'm going to describe in detail what's happening right now.
That'll be good.
No, I won't. I'll leave it.
No, go ahead.
Let's just say one thing was knocking into another thing, and it was making a noise as. Equipment
Yes,
equipment was knocking about,
Thank you for
making a
clarifying
noise.
that.
Making a noise.
I know,
So-
and be a technical director in my work.
I know.
But
It has since been rectified with
Tape.
electrical tape.
Tape
By
fixes
Josh.
everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I
So-
think we should leave that in.
Yeah. Okay. So what was I talking about? Talking about the website. So yeah, like basically, I realized that like people who like games, movies, or anything else, just on the internet, they don't have anywhere to discuss what they do. So I just thought let's give them an opportunity to be able to discuss what they like to do. As far as I'm aware, the internet doesn't offer anywhere else you can do that. I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, there are plenty of news sites, review sites, and I mean, I guess people do it in social media to a certain extent, but
I actually didn't expect you to take that point seriously because that is a ridiculous statement. There's nowhere for people to discuss stuff on the internet.
yeah. But I kind of know what you mean.
But yeah, it's still like that is just the intent of the site, as opposed to that, like, if something in the news happens that we're interested in, and I mean, like, media as well as games, etc. Like, I'm not forgetting movies. Like we will discuss it if we feel compelled. But if you're looking for the latest news and need to know what's just happened, this is not the place to come looking for.
Which is sort of what I thought you were getting at. It's like we're not going to be led by necessarily what's the latest thing in the cinema, what's the latest game that has come out. It'll be very much
the latest etc. has been released,
or the latest etc. that has been released into the wild. Yes, exactly. No, it'll be more. What do we want to write about? And maybe people might enjoy that. And
like you might find something on our site that you're not quite sure what your opinion is, but you just need someone to form it for you, and you can just read one of our articles, and then I do actually like that. That's a service.
Yes, we will tell you your opinion.
Yeah, and that's helpful. So, I mean, the big question to start with then is: have you done anything recently, or seen anything, played anything? What have you been up to?
Nothing. No, that's not true.
Oh.
No, I mean we're coming off the back of Christmas break. A little bit more time to maybe devote to some leisure activities. So yes, played a few games over Christmas, watched a few movies. I finished Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Oh yeah.
Which I loved. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm actually not sure I enjoyed it more than or even as much as the first one, the reboot. I found myself at about halfway through the game no longer really enjoying it properly.
Okay.
And the reason was I am very much a kind of the way I play games, I enjoy the narrative. I enjoy the stories. To me, games are just another storytelling medium. But I'm sort of split personality because the other part of me is a real completionist. And Tomb Raider has a lot of little sort of side quests and collectibles and things to do. But frankly, I'm at the point in my life where I just don't have time to do them all anymore. And
that's really aged us on this podcast.
Yes, yeah.
How old we are.
I am 33. I got to the point where I realized that I was coming into a new area in the game. For anybody who knows how Rise of the Tomb Raider works, it's open world to an extent, but the world is chunked into different parts of the map. So as I went into a new part, I would be trying to get through the story, but I would inevitably be, distracted by, I could go and do this, and that's come up on the map, so I could do that. And to be honest with you, by the time I'd done a few of those, I kind of had forgotten, where was I in the story? And also it didn't feel natural. So, the long answer to your question is, I was playing Doom over Christmas. And the reason I played Doom was because after Tomb Raider, it just felt like this would be the ultimate palate cleanser. Mm-hmm. I needed something that was just totally linear. There are collectibles and secret areas in it, but you
don't feel compelled.
I was not looking for those. I was, going in all guns blazing, and it is it's arcadey is not the correct term. It is not an arcade shooter, but it's a big, bold, brash action game which you feel like you're making progress quickly, and it's linear. There are big areas that you go into, but it all feels very kind of quick moving, and it didn't take me long to finish, and what it has done, it's made me go, okay, I'm ready to do something else maybe a little bit more meaty. So the next game will be Dishonored 2. But yes, so I enjoyed Doom tremendously.
Well, that's the interesting thing that, and I know this is something that's controversial to you, but I think I actually enjoyed Tomb Raider, as in Rise of the Tomb Raider, more than Uncharted 4.
Yes, you've said that to me before.
Yeah, because basically I'm the kind of person who knows when you further the story, you're getting closer to the end. Mm-hmm. And so when you go into a new area and there's new things to discover and new collectibles, like, that's exciting to me, because it's something that delays that next cutscene and pushes things forward. But I take your point. On the other hand, I also have a massive pile of shame that I'm not getting through. And having just started Dark Souls 2, it's going to take me even longer to get through, because that seems to be a massive game, even in comparison to Dark Souls 1, which I put about 50 hours into. But I just found with Tomb Raider, like both Tomb Raiders, I enjoyed them for that, building your character up, sort of the RPG kind of elements that you don't expect from a Tomb Raider game. Yeah. Because the previous ones were very much just go through it, climb, shoot your way through. And I think the hunting is just so well done that's what made it fun to actually upgrade Lara, because you actually had to do something fun in order to do that. But I don't know where I was going with that now.
No, I think I do know what you mean. When I played the first Tomb Raider, that was on the PS3, and maybe it was slightly more limited by the hardware, so it didn't feel, I think, just at times, and people will laugh at this, in gaming market in which we have games like The Witcher 3 and Fallout 4, Skyrim even, huge games. Tomb Raider, the first Tomb Raider felt just right. It felt like a kind of game that I could cope with. And the way that you're not just presented with the map in its entirety from the first opening hours of the game, it makes it feel manageable, but at the same time, and then maybe the move to PS4, it felt that little bit bigger, everything just felt that little bit more dense. Just when I went into those new areas in Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I'd find a map which brought up all the secrets, and it just seemed to be so full that I just felt totally overwhelmed. And partly it is due, like you say, this pile of shame, this pile of games that I want to get through, and I sort of know, well, it probably boils down to as well being that little bit older, having a little bit more disposable income, not having to squeeze every last drop of gaming out of a game.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in my teens or even younger, you know, 10, 11, 12, whatever it was, you know, and maybe you were spending your pocket money on a game, you were saving up for one game that you know, maybe got 3-4 games a year, or I don't know, that's plucked out of the air in some respect, but you wanted to get everything you could out of that game, whereas now it's kind of like, and that sounds really bad, but I don't mean that I'm just a bit more throwaway about my money, but I do have a few games to play, and I actually, more games, but far less time than I used to, so I need to just be a little bit more, I don't know, discerning with how I spend my gaming time. So if things are not really, really fun, they're gone. Yeah, they're just gone. So
I know. Well, I find that I'm really disappointed these days because of how many games I want to get through. If I'm not like hooked on a game, you know, and like things like Uncharted and Tomb Raider, the first Dark Souls, to some extent also the Dark Souls 2. Like those are games that as soon as I started playing them, if there was anything else I was dabbling in at the same time, it just went out the window, and it was just that one game. And I suppose I'm starting to struggle now because I'm finding more and more games that I don't feel that way with. Gears of War being a great example, which like I have started to enjoy a bit more, but I haven't loved it in the way I was hoping to, and in the way I know you do. And I mean, another great example of this is the Metal Gear series, which like at least the first couple of hours of every game I've not only not enjoyed, I've hated. And like I've just finished 4, and it took me 6 hours before I started enjoying that game. And like for me,
you are a trooper, sir.
For me, that's a lot. No, it's only because I have like Ground Zeroes from PlayStation Plus, and I've come this far in the series. It's like I want to see it through, but you also don't want to feel like you're wasting gaming time of your life. And in the end, Metal Gear 4 was amazing, and it was worth it. The story was fantastic, but yeah, there were times where it came to like a stealthy area you could spend an hour stealthing your way through, and I just ran. And like so often I was able to survive without getting killed, and just go from one cutscene to another, which I realize is what some people complain about. There's not enough game between the cutscenes, where I was just like, I need to get to the next cutscene as soon as possible. And I did have its moments, but overall, the story of Metal Gear 4 is what really made it worthwhile, and it tied the series together so well. But the one thing we haven't talked about Tomb Raider is the all-important, is it Syria mission at the start?
Don't start me.
Apparently, without telling you, you need to 100%, otherwise you can't go back to it.
Oh, it's so irritating.
And like for me, like the first Tomb Raider, the Arkham games, those are ones that I wanted to 100%. And this is the one that, you know, I was excited about. I remember as soon as the first Tomb Raider ended, it was like, I can't wait for the next one. You know, waiting for this to come out. And there you go. You've like forgotten something in the first level. You can't go back.
Yeah.
So you can't 100% the game.
If you haven't played Rise of the Tomb Raider, your first mission is set in Syria, and it just, once you're finished, it's done. You move on to the next, where the rest of the game is set.
And that only happens once. It's the rest of the game is in that one place.
Yeah.
Like the first one was on one island. This is in one place.
Yeah.
Except for Syria.
So if you didn't 100% Syria there and then you cannot 100% the game, which is crazy. Yeah. Because so many other games, and even Tomb Raider itself, on multiple occasions, says you will not be able to return to this area. Yeah. Do you want to save, or do you want to leave? Yeah. This didn't. Which, I mean,
I just remember
I'm sure for completionists, I'm sure there were people out there who
burned down the house.
Well, what I was going to say was just went, right, okay, I'm starting again.
Yeah.
But, you know,
oh, no, I definitely wasn't up for that.
Who has time for that?
Yeah. I put too many hours into it when I realised it was impossible. Because you just sort of expected at some point I'm going to get to something that says, do you want to fast travel? Which in Tomb Raider it does, but Syria is not one of those options to fast travel to, and that's
Yeah, I think, well, the weird silver lining about that was when I made the decision to no longer pursue any of the collectibles, knowing that would mean I would never 100% the game. I already knew that I would never 100% the game because of Syria. Yeah. So I was like, oh well, you know, never gonna complete this game 100%. So forget it.
I finish the game in the hope that I would be able to get back, and I did 99% of it. So,
is that what it was? Like 99%? See, that's almost worse. That's almost worse than finish it in 75%.
Yeah,
99%.
It makes me sick.
Pathetic. Pathetic.
I mean, if I go
if you're
back,
a real gamer, Josh, you'd just start it all again.
I know, but if I go back and complete Syria 100%, it has to be on that playthrough. You know, it can't be that I've now done everything.
Yeah,
it's like I need to see 100% on the title screen.
You need to see that, yeah.
So that's not impossible. Thank you. But I just remember there was an old one in one. I think it was like Tomb Raider Underworld or something like that, where if you saved past a certain point, when you went into a room a couple of places later, a switch would not be there that had to be there to complete the game. And this was a game-breaking bug that fortunately we were in the internet area, so I was able to find out you're screwed. And I had that time, on that occasion, I had to start the game from the start again. But the difference is in that case, it's like you can't finish the game, whereas with this it's just 100%, so it bothers the completionist in me, and fortunately I haven't lost any sleep over it, so I can move on.
So what were you playing, watching over the last while?
I think that's like one of the terrible things, that when I can look at my games list and go what I'm playing at the moment. But when I think, well, what did I complete over Christmas? It's like, can I remember? Like, if I can't even remember, was it worth it?
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm playing Dark Souls 2, which I know you haven't played. You haven't played even Demon Souls, have you?
Nope, never played any of the Souls games.
Yeah. No, I haven't played Demon Souls either. But I remember when the PlayStation 4 was first released, and I saw the ad for Bloodborne, and I remember saying to you, like, that game makes me want a PS4.
Yeah.
I didn't get a PS4 at the time, but I then just thought, I'm going to get a PS4 eventually at some point to play Bloodborne. But the people that I most commonly listen to, the Chat Very Good Boys, and like I'll follow then Rich Stanton on Twitter, like they are huge Dark Souls fans, and they talk a lot about Dark Souls. And then eventually Bloodborne came out, and then all the talk was Bloodborne. And so I realized that I need to play these games at some point, because like too many different people are playing it, so it's not just a niche, And
they have become somewhat legendary. I mean, they really are.
But I thought it was just a gimmick, because they're like amongst the hardest games ever, as opposed to that they're some of the best. But after playing Dark Souls 1, I was like, that is one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had.
Well, obviously I'm speaking from a position of ignorance, but everything I hear about it, and then talking to you about it, I do want to play them now, I must admit.
And so, like, as soon as I finished Dark Souls 1, I immediately played the entire game. Well, not the entire game. I got what I considered the halfway point. Again, within, like, it took me 40 hours the first time. This time it took me 10. Now that was with my character in New Game Plus, where the enemies are slightly harder, but I had so much gear and stuff that it was easy. And I knew where I was going, which was the important bit. And I have to admit, like, that is one of the best things about the Souls games, is just the exploration. Like, in the same way with Tomb Raider, when you go into a new area and there's like all this new stuff, the great thing about it is it's not a million collectibles.
Yeah.
It's just a space to like marvel at and look at the design. And
See, that sounds cool.
Yeah, like Bloodborne. Now, once I finished Dark Souls 2, once I finished Dark Souls, I was like, I'm just itching. I need another one of these games, and I've wanted Bloodborne for so long. And then it went to the Game of the Year edition, went to 24 quid, and I was like, done. And again, I dropped everything and started playing Bloodborne. And in terms of polish and look and feel, like, it is, top tier of the Souls games.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I still think I preferred Dark Souls, and I'm loving Dark Souls 2 so much now. Again, just for the exploration and stuff. And I find that I've rarely had to grind in these games. There's been, one or two occasions. Dark Souls in particular, you definitely had to grind.
Yeah.
But with Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2, I felt like the progression was a bit more gentle, and therefore you didn't get stuck early on and have to grind in order to make up for that. So once I finished Bloodborne, it was like, right, I need a break from the Souls games, because I'm starting to OD, and like, I want to play something different. And I started into Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which was great, and is a great wee game, but
I have no idea what that game is like. Or
I'd love to tell you, I've played so little of it.
Okay.
Because Dark Souls 2 went down to £10 on Xbox Live, and it was like, okay, everything else is stealing. Gone. Yeah, straight back into the Souls. So so that's how I ended up there. But I mean, I have a couple of games like sitting out that I'm technically currently playing as well, like Mario Bros Wii. I've gone back to finally complete that. I need to get into Starfox because Joe from BitSocket says it was close to being his game of the year.
Oh really?
And
wow.
I just feel like I've missed out on that to some extent, and I'm just want to work on it.
That's interesting because now again, you know, I don't have a Wii U, which I'm sure we'll cover at some point. Because you do,
and you're a big fan of it. Wii U special. Let's say this, it's soon going to be extinct.
Yeah,
I've completed the game now. Obviously, I'm sure you know from Star Fox 64, completing the game is just one run through and one track, whereas there's many different ways you can go. But to my shame, that's all I have done. And I had moments where the control scheme made so much sense and came so naturally, and it felt amazing when you got it right. However, it is just going to take a bit of work to get used to it, and also to like ironically force yourself to do it. And this seems to be a theme with the Wii U games. Splatoon, as soon as I started playing it, couldn't get on with the motion controls and flicked it to normal first person shooter. And I've found since that I've done a disservice and I should go back and play with motion controls. And I think the same is true of Star Fox, that you can actually get away with playing the game without really using the motion controls. But again, I feel like you're doing yourself a disservice, and you know, Miyamoto's a genius, and so he would only have put this out and done this if there was something in it. And actually, what would be fun is just a let's play video, like of him playing it and showing us, you know, the epitome of what this control scheme can look like. Maybe there are YouTube videos of other people playing it that I should look at, but
I think that's sort of symptomatic of a big problem with the Wii U in some ways. It was the lack of adoption of those motion controls and different ways to play the games from a consumer, but also it has to be said from game developers. You know, I'm not sure that they ever enough of them ever fully exploited what was unique about the Wii U, perhaps. And that's speaking as someone who doesn't have a Wii U, and sort of as an outsider to some extent. It never seemed as if enough games came to market that really sort of went, okay, here's why you need this Wii, you need this console, you need this way to play this game. I don't know, is that part of why the Wii never did as well as it should have done, perhaps, or could have done?
Because when developers like put in the effort, like Ubisoft with Zombie U, like it was fantastic. And then other games, you know, like the Assassin's Creed series, I played 3, and did I also play Black Flag on the Wii U? And I found like it's so much better having the second screen. And it was like, I don't ever want to go back, but then, you know, my hand was forced because Unity didn't come out on the Wii U. But every time I played a game, that even the multi format ones, I enjoyed them so much better. Like, I have a friend who says that Ghosts is a real weak point in terms of the campaign for Call of Duty, but it was the first game that I played with the motion controls, and I had such a blast. And I think the fact that I enjoyed the control scheme means that I maybe didn't appreciate whether it was a good game or not, in comparison to the others. Because I love, like, I've played all the campaigns except for Black Ops 3 for some reason. And so if Ghosts is a weaker campaign, I don't know that, because, you know, Nintendo made playing the game fun. You know, obviously the developer have something to go towards that as well, but it's the control scheme that Nintendo came up with that said, this is good, guys, go with it, you know. And so let's save the rest for our Wii U, our Wii eulogy, or
Wii eulogy. Yes, I like it. Well, in actual
I need to trademark that. That's gonna be all over the internet in about a month.
It is. Well, in actual fact, though, it does it could neatly segue into our next topic, which was going to be in some respects would be our main topic.
Which is
the Switch.
Oh,
do you not feel like that naturally leads us on to the Switch? You know, it's where we've just talked about his predecessor.
I feel like we're, we've talked about games so much though that we're alienating 2/3 of our listeners.
True, that's true. What would you like to?
Let's save the Switch. I think that'll keep the gamers listening because there's an enticing.
Gives them something to come back for.
Yeah, like they'll
or skip to.
They'll want to know what two random blokes from Belfast think
exactly.
about the Switch.
Well, who doesn't?
Exactly.
Frankly,
So they have to come back. Yeah,
True. Okay, you're right. You're right. Yeah. This is games, movies, etc.
Etc. Don't forget the etc. as well.
I know.
I want to talk about that.
Etc.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. That stuff and those things.
Stuff that we've been doing outside it because we have lives other than movies and games.
Yes. Contrary to what you might believe.
Yeah. It's there somewhere. It'll get there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's squeezed in between in the cracks.
Let's actually, before we jump to movies, talk about, is there anything that has just been released that you have played or watched? Because I'm really struggling with up-to-date stuff. Like all my games are old stuff because I'm at the point where it has to be an Uncharted for me to pay full price for a game on release. Obviously I'm going to buy the Switch, but we'll talk about that later and why I would. But yeah, at the moment, like it's Dark Souls 2, like a sequel to one of my favorite games, and I paid a tenner for it, Well, so is there anything...
the newest game I have is the one that I'm about to start after having finished Doom, Dishonored 2.
So you didn't get started, did you not then?
No.
I got a nice text from Steve with a picture of Dishonored 2 on the screen, and I was like, I am so jealous of you right now.
This is the problem with modern gaming.
Yeah.
You don't just put a disc into your console and get going.
Yeah.
You don't put a cartridge in and it immediately boots up.
And I forget this every time.
You go through a whole rigmarole, frankly, a whole song and dance of installing updates. Most of which, it has to be said, are only necessary for online play, which I have absolutely zero interest in.
Yeah.
But I'm forced to. So when I put the disc in, it said there's an optional update of 9.7 gig or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want to do this now or later? And it made reference to the fact that without this update you will not be able to play online. And I was like, well, I don't care. So I skipped it. It started to install, and then at a certain point it said, okay, ready to start. So I pressed the button, went into the menu. You need to update.
Yeah.
So it's the same. So the later that it referred to was once I had started, not the game, but the menu, booted up the menu system. So it's crazy. Like, I mean,
I don't think
I get it. I get it because the games are huge now compared to what they used to be, but installation's a killer.
I don't think I've ever had a successful game is ready to start. I will keep downloading the rest. Like anytime that's happened for me, I've tried to start the game and I've got to the menu and then that's been it. So basically they're saying we're ready. You're ready to look at the menu.
Yeah,
that's what you've been waiting for.
Yes, the game is ready to start. Well, we say the game, we really mean the menu. Yeah. But you can look at the menu for 2 or 3 hours and
change the options.
Yeah, fiddle about with those. Yeah, get that control set, get that y-axis inverted if necessary. Yeah. No.
See, my problem is like I have this whole ritual of if I prefer to buy physical at all costs.
Likewise.
And so I have this ritual of I will have the game sitting there ready to start in the cellophane. As soon as it's time for me to start that game, I'll open it, I'll stick the disc in, I'll be like, I'm ready to go. And then it's like...
Yeah, not for 6 hours, you're not?
You can play this tomorrow if you'd like. And, that's just so frustrating because you're just like, I want to play my new game. I've paid for the disc. And I think that's the most frustrating thing about it is that developers now have the option of releasing an unfinished game into retail. And then don't worry, there's a day one update which will fix all that.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that maybe gives them an extra week or month even, I don't know, to finish some things off. But my problem with that is that you're selling me an unfinished game, and now fortunately that the update will hopefully sort that out. In some cases it doesn't, but It's just a frustration that I'm paying for physical media and I still.
And when you put it in, you
stuff.
still can't play it until you've.
I mean, if you're the worst thing could be if you have 10 download games and you start a disc one and it says you need to download this and you don't have space, and it's like, but I bought the disc version.
Yeah,
I know. And so that's just so annoying. But
so Dishonored would be the most recent game that I would be playing were I playing it. But I mean, I was a huge fan of the first Dishonored game, massive fan. I'm a big steampunk alternate history fan. I'm also a big first person shooter fan, or first person story driven games. They don't necessarily have to be shooters. And when I played through the first Dishonored, I did so mainly in a stealthy, non-lethal capacity. But it's just such a good game. The world that they created, I'm trying to remember who it is. The environment artist or the main creator of the game world is the same guy who created City 17 from Half-Life 2. Yeah. I believe so. I'm a big Half-Life fan as well, and yeah, it's just, it always felt to me like, oh, this is kind of like almost like a de facto part of the BioShock series even as well, it's
I mean, I would have said it was developed by the same people.
Yeah. It's just such a good game. Anyway, I don't want to devote too much time to a game that I haven't even played. But
this is the up-to-date section.
But
we're talking about the other game.
But I am very much looking forward to playing Dishonored 2. I'm doing a D thing at the minute. I played Doom, Dishonored 2, and I also have Deus Ex, the new Deus Ex as well. So they will be the three that I will play in sequence. But yeah, and then other new stuff, non-game related. If we want to move on.
Yes, indeed.
The most up to date movie that I've seen. Don't get to the cinema as much as I used to anymore. But I watched The Girl with All the Gifts.
Oh yeah,
which is really good.
Yeah, the trailer sold me on that. I actually didn't know anything about it, but when I saw the trailer, I was like,
I'm cheating a little bit here in that the most obvious comparisons to anything else in sort of popular mainstream media of any type is The Last of Us, the game The Last of Us.
Sure.
So I could talk about games here still if we want to.
It's a good thing our site references everything,
But no, the movie itself is fantastic. The ending is not bad.
Spoilers.
But it is not as strong as I hoped it would be.
Sure.
The game. Oh, I've got games on the mind now. The movie promises a lot, and then in some respects it does deliver on it, but it's sort of the final third of the film is not as strong as the first 2/3. The premise of the movie is brilliant. I'm a huge zombie fan. Anything to do with zombies, games, movies, whatever, Walking Dead TV shows, games, movies, etc. I love anything zombie related, and seemingly can't tire of it.
Sure.
Although I did watch Z Nation, which I did not care for, but that's about it. But I'll admit that it's not a genre that usually can surprise.
Sure.
It seems like everything's been done.
Well, can you give us a brief
and I wouldn't,
early synopsis?
Yes,
then?
I wouldn't say that The Girl with All the Gifts is revolutionary. It doesn't completely change the genre in any in a huge respect, but it definitely tries to do something different. It's a bit more subdued, a bit more dramatic, a bit more melancholy about the whole thing. It's not a all out action film. It's not even really a gore horror film. It's there is no supernatural aspect to it. It's very much a kind of it is a drama, I would say, and it's a journey film, and in those two respects it's very like the Last of Us game. Very story driven, very character driven, and I don't think that this will spoil anything because this is all part of the trailers for the game or for the movie.
Games on the brain.
I know. It basically revolves around a girl who is vital to formulating a cure for.
Oh, so it literally is Last of Us the movie.
For the zombie virus, which has been caused by the Cordyceps Fungus.
Literally Last of Us.
So I could take that description and I could put it on the box of Last of Us and it would work just as well.
Yeah.
For anybody who has or has not played that, that's really what that game is. Now there are some big differences along the way too, but for the most part, it's there are big similarities. It's quite an interesting one because the movie is based on a book. I had wondered, who has ripped off who here? Sure. Because obviously the film has come out after the Last of Us game, so it's like, they've just ripped off the Last of Us. But then you discover that the film was based on a book,
sure,
which came out at around the same time as the Last of Us. So then it's like, I don't know. But then you discover that the book was based on a short story by the same author, which came out well in advance of the Last of Us. However, the short story didn't mention, as far as I'm aware, the Cordyceps fungus and things like that. So, sure. But to be fair to them, Naughty Dog and the creators of the film and the writer of the book, I'm trying to remember his name, we'll put it in the show notes, Josh, all said that their main, they all made these various films and books after having watched the episode of Planet Earth that featured the Cordyceps fungus, so I do think that's largely a coincidence, sure. Or at least they have been inspired by the same thing and just happen to have made a similar story at around the same time. It's Deep Impact Armageddon all over again,
sure.
Frankly.
Basically, but what you're saying is David Attenborough is behind everything.
Yes, yeah, he's the mastermind behind this, and they should be paying, and they should be lining his elderly pockets. But yes, the film is very good. The acting's great. Paddy Considine's in it. I'm a big fan of him.
Why say any more? That's enough to go see the film.
Glenn Close is in it. Very good. It's a great cast, actually. Gemma Arterton, who I always thought would have made a very good Lara Croft in a Tomb Raider movie. But sure. She has not been cast.
No luck.
No. But yeah, cast is great. It's a great story, and it does do something a little bit different with the genre, at least. It's a zombie movie for people who maybe don't like Dawn of the Dead, sure. And that was my laughter there, or either that, or we're about to experience a zombie event.
That was the nuke going off.
But yeah, this is not a review of the movie. This is just I watched it and enjoyed it, and perhaps a review will be forthcoming on the site. Who's to know? But sure. Yeah, so that was the last movie I watched, and it is a relatively new one.
Well, interestingly, my recent movie experience was exactly the same. Of great 2/3, and then the end was dissatisfying. Mm-hmm. I saw Split last night, M. Night Shyamalan's new movie, and it started so well. James McAvoy is brilliant in it. Mm-hmm. Playing someone, this isn't a spoiler, with multiple personality disorder, mm-hmm. And he plays each disorder so well that I just want to know if they filmed them as if they were separate movies so that he could get in the right frame of mind. It's the only way I can imagine being able to do it myself. But
either that or all credit to James McAvoy for being able to switch between them.
They're so convincing. At times it's a change of clothes that helps reinforce it. But there's times where he doesn't change clothes, but you see his personality shift, mm-hmm. And it's
even not with words. It's just a look or something, or
sometimes, and then he speaks, but you're just aware, it's changed, and actually his mannerisms just make it feel like a separate person, which is integral to the movie and to the whole point of it. The whole point of it ending up being not the whole point of it, and it being a big. It's just not a twist. It's not a satisfying conclusion. And I've said to others, if what is seen as a twist or the conclusion or revelation, whatever you want to call it, had just been known from the start, I think I would have enjoyed the film more, knowing where it was going. But watching it and having all this anticipation of a great finish and revelation or twist and it not happening. It just.
Do you feel like he's directed himself into a corner whereby everybody expects him to have some kind of a revelation or twist at the end?
I think the irony of it is that fans of his work at the end are gonna like be elated, but I don't know how many fans of his work there are.
Yeah,
you know, like, and that's the weird thing about it, in that it's like it's a niche thing, and therefore
an M. Night Shyamalan film is a niche thing, you mean? Or
no, the sort of the revelation. It's
sorry,
it's kind of hard to explain without giving it away.
Yeah.
and therefore I don't want to. But I just find that people who've enjoyed his previous work will go, oh, that's so cool, and I've enjoyed some of his previous work. But it just.
Did you watch the last one before this? The Visit?
No,
yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It's good.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I've heard very divided opinions on it, but it seems to be the one that people go, oh, here he's got it back.
Yeah.
The interesting thing was the friend I was with last night at the end of the movie just turned to me and said, "Who keeps giving this guy money?" And it turns out it was a self-funded film.
Okay, right.
So that explains that. And it's a shame because, as Mark Kermode says, like, there's a very talented movie maker in there, but there's just certain things that he trips up on.
Yeah,
including cameos. Like his own cameo in this, starts off natural and then just has such a hammy moment. Right. And it's, for me, it's the perfect definition of what shows what good acting is and what bad acting is. You know, when you're portraying something on screen, you actually have to act. You can't just say it like you would normally say it.
Yeah.
And his first couple of lines are acted, and the last thing he does, it's actually just a facial expression, is just hammy, and it's like, right. You know, you've taken it out. And I really like it. I like, you know, Hitchcock always showing up in his films. I love Stan Lee always having a wee cameo, which is usually played for a laugh. And I suppose, you know, that's maybe the difference here, that it's a bit more difficult to play for a laugh in a serious film. And obviously therefore he's not, but it didn't sit as naturally as some of his other cameos in his films.
Right.
But yeah, like I said, if there even hadn't been a twist, if it had just ended, it would have been a more satisfying conclusion.
Okay.
Except for the fact that because it was one of his films, you're waiting for a twist.
Yeah.
And I think he's really dug himself into that hole. I don't know whether The Last Airbender had a twist, but I'm not likely to find out.
Yeah. I did watch it and I don't remember. So that tells you everything you need to know about that. Yeah. I think that was one of those days where I was sitting about the house with not much to do, and it was on, you know, Sky Anytime or something.
Sure.
Like, I'll check this out. And then once I start a movie, I find it very hard to turn it off, even if I don't think it's good.
Sure. And I mean, it looked cool. I actually thought it looked quite good.
Yeah.
But the other thing that has come to mind is the trailer for Ghost in the Shell was shown.
Yes.
And what do you think of it?
What are you asking me here, Josh?
Well, okay, I'll tell you what I think first. I loved the original Ghost in the Shell movie.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I have.
And it's spectacular.
Yes.
And so when I heard there was a live action one coming, I was like, right, we're in an era where this can happen and it will look right.
Yeah.
And most of it looks right. However, again, the guy I was with when the John Wick trailer, John Wick 2, Chapter 2, played, he turned to me and said, this could almost be the same place as the last movie. And somehow they were right. Now, I don't know whether that's because John Wick looks futuristic and Japanese, or whether Ghost in the Shell looks too generic, but they somehow have managed to add in every Hollywood movie cliche to the point that it ends with, you know, saying something along the lines of everything you believe is a lie, and to the classic, they didn't give you your life, they took it. And it's like, that's two of the most generic things you could ever put in a trailer.
Yeah.
And this is a really original and different movie, and they've somehow managed to make it quite general. On the other hand, a lot of the visuals look good, the shots look good as well, so I think it will be good. But it just, as a trailer,
I thought you were asking me whether I I thought we were going to get into a whitewashing discussion.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
I just accept that as something that has happened. I think it's disappointing, and I don't think it should have happened.
Yeah.
But it's not going to stop me from seeing the movie.
No. Yeah.
And like I said, yeah, it is disappointing. But I think ScarJo will do a good job. I think she does a good job, actually, just even watching the trailer. But she's still quite different from the original film to some extent as well. For me, it's a sign of the things that they have changed that will make this a more generic Hollywood blockbuster rather than the spirit of the original, which I think is a shame.
Which could be said of a lot of things,
but that's the point.
Game to movie adaptations, book to movie adaptations, foreign cinema that is then reproduced in Hollywood very often loses that which makes it special, different, worth making into a movie.
Yeah.
And then they end up making something generic or, which is a shame.
And
but let's hope. Let's reserve judgment until we watch it.
Yes. Now, at this moment, I think we should switch our conversation.
Yes, indeed.
Because
we both just did the choreographed.
Yeah, I mean, if you were playing a drinking game during that live presentation of any time they say Nintendo Switch, you finish your drink, or even Switch, you drink.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't have made it 10 minutes into it.
So that Nintendo Switch live broadcast, that was something.
I think we had very different responses to this because I loved the majority of it. I did feel it petered out, but for me, the start when they mentioned every feature of the Switch, I was like, that's what I was hoping for. That's what I wanted. Battery life's the thing that's like, I expected that, but hoped for better. But how can you with that kind of a console?
Yeah.
If it was a normal tablet, I wouldn't expect it to last 3 hours. Yeah. Playing a game like Zelda, So, but generally, what were your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, so to be upfront, Josh, you are a massive Nintendo fan, and
absolutely,
and unashamed.
I had this conversation in the Apple store with one of the guys there that if I had to get rid of every console of the current generation and only keep one, like by far, it would be the Wii U. Not even
crazy.
Not even
crazy
the slightest chance. Anything else.
So
there's about 3 or 4 games that I'd be sad to miss out on.
Yeah.
But I'd be happy as a gamer.
So I am also a Nintendo fan, but possibly more of a Nintendo fan of old. The last Nintendo. To be fair, I had a Wii, but I played some of the games in the earlier days and then it petered out. Love the GameCube. Absolutely adore the GameCube. One of my favorite consoles. Had an N64 SNES, going right back. I love Nintendo. I think Nintendo are brilliant. We need Nintendo in the game space because they do something different from the other two main competitors. The Wii U just didn't appeal strongly enough to me. Nothing came out that really made me go, I need that, I need it. We have had this conversation, many times where you've tried to convince me, and
I think that's the point, that once I have my Switch and I'm maybe not playing my Wii U as much, if I lend it to you, or if you get yourself a Wii U at some point, I will lend you the games that will blow your mind, and you'll go, I completely missed out on this. And I'm confident of that.
Right.
I'm confident. The thing I'm not confident about is that you'll have the time to play the games.
Yeah.
But the point is, if I could give you 5 games and say, play those, you'll be like, I completely missed out on this.
Yeah.
I'm confident of that,
So, what I was going to say was, that said, I think the Switch looks like a great piece of hardware. It looks good. It has a lot of features that I think are, really unique. The fact that you can turn it from a home console to a tablet, that you can turn the little Joy-Cons on their side and use them as mini controllers, and 2 people play on the tablet at the same time, maybe on a plane, train, car.
I could have said automobile there, like you were setting it up.
I know. I don't know why you didn't. No, I think it has some really good features. I think it looks good. It doesn't look like a toy. It looks like a proper piece of gaming hardware. But I definitely have my concerns, and I know you have the same concerns primarily about third-party support. We know that their first party games are going to be good. Zelda will be good. Mario Odyssey will be good. They are a given. That is fine. In fact, Mario, that was one of the main reasons I didn't get a Wii. If they had brought out a proper successor to Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, a proper 3D open world Mario, I'd have been all over the Wii U because I love that. But so they've done that with the Switch. Brilliant. But we were texting during that press conference and that reveal or the broadcast, and it's worrying. It is worrying, the lack of third party support. Here we had a couple of guys from EA there, and all they showed was a FIFA port.
And they didn't even show it. They showed a screen saying FIFA.
Yeah, and apparently it's a port of the PS3 and Xbox 360 version or whatever. I think it's,
well, I know the way they announced
they have Skyrim.
They announced it as a dedicated FIFA for the Switch.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is what happened previously with the Wii, I think.
Yeah.
They said, we know it's not the same console as the others, so we're making a specific FIFA.
Yeah.
And, that did not turn out well.
So,
and they have in the past, it's been FIFA 12 reskinned as 13 for the Wii, and, that's unforgivable.
So, unfortunately, that we can only go with what we're seeing now, and that appears to be the case again. Bethesda have come along, and Skyrim is undoubtedly a good game, but it's been out for a couple of years now.
I can't think of anybody who hasn't played it that wants to play it.
Exactly.
At the time, I did want to play it, but
there is no
consoles
one left who wants to play that, who hasn't played it. So, and other than that, we had one of the representatives from Sega there saying, "This looks like a great piece of hardware. We're going to make some games." Okay, well, this was your chance to show what you're making. It worries me that there was nothing there to show, that there hasn't been third-party industry buy-in.
Well, because third parties have been working on the console apparently, but they still had nothing to show for it.
So that's crazy, and this whole, some people have said, "Oh, well, they're waiting for E3." That's crazy talk. You had a captive audience here at this one. This was your time to shine, and I don't know. First party games. People want to know, right? Can I play this year's Call of Duty, Battlefield, FIFA, Madden, whatever it happens to be? All those third party big gaming franchises. I want to be able to play those. So, okay. Well, I like the look of Uncharted more than Halo, so I'll go with a PS4. But it's not on the strength of the first party products alone. Nobody's just going, I'm going to get a PS4 and I'm going to play Uncharted 4 and Bloodborne. Because if you were doing that, there's, you didn't have a lot to play on the PS4 for the first couple of years here. And even if the Xbox One was to a large extent the same, people don't buy the consoles on the strength of first party alone. The third party games are vital.
Yeah.
I mean, that was demonstrably true on the Wii U. The Wii U is a good console. It has good first party games, but because they were not able to attract enough third party support, that's probably a big part of the reason that it didn't do well. And I'm worried for the Switch because, Zelda's going to come out at launch, and then, you got things like 1-2 Switch, ARMS, things like that look like a pleasant diversion. But are they going to fill the time until Mario comes out in the holiday season?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Well,
so
for me, the interesting.
There's no reason to get one at the start unless you are really going to invest in all those sort of quirky games. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think that will bring enough people. Anybody who looked at the Wii U and went, nah, they're not coming to the Switch on the strength of Zelda for launch. Yeah. They might come. Once it comes to holiday time and Zelda, I can get Zelda and Mario. Cool, there's two big games that I can only play on this system. Brilliant. I just worry about that first 6-8 months where, I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, I suppose in terms of first party, my two thoughts are with 1-2 Switch, I genuinely don't know how that game works because they say the way you play it is without looking at the screen.
Yeah, that was weird.
Now, when I think of Wii Sports and Nintendo Land, I'm like, Nintendo know how to showcase their consoles. So there's got to be something special to that game that you can't know without playing it, and fair enough, that's the case. So I'm actually now at the point of considering pre-ordering 1-2 Switch, even though when I first watched it I was like, that looks rubbish. Like,
yeah,
you know, it'll feel cool, like feeling like you're whacking someone else's sword, but it's like, you know, like that novelty will drop off. And to be fair, that novelty dropped off for me with Wii Sports. Like, I didn't play that game all that much, and it was the strength.
Neither did I.
It was the strength of the other first party games that kept me playing the Wii, as well as, you know, there were good third party ones as well. But
yeah, I mean, the Wii had decent support. It was relatively well supported by third parties, but when it came to the Wii U, that did drop off.
It was the end, and but the thing for me is Zelda. Like, I mean, again,
it looks incredible.
Yeah, and
goes without saying.
If I could only play one series in my life, you know, if you took everything else away, again, for me that would be Zelda. I will give honorable mentions towards the likes of Resident Evil and Uncharted, and now Dark Souls. But the one thing that gives me encouragement is that Monolith Soft. I need to make sure I'm getting that right, because there are two different Monolith developers. But the ones who worked on the Xenoblade games have apparently contributed to Zelda.
Okay.
And so
didn't know that.
I have put in, I think, 60 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii and not finished it. And I bought that with the intention of getting Xenoblade X on the Wii U, which again I will at some point, but there's probably another 100 hours. So the potential for Zelda to actually, now, you know, Nintendo average, I think, you know, 30 to 40 hours for a home console Zelda. So this game could be up to 80 hours worth of content, if not more. And we are in the era of Skyrims and Witchers where you're talking, you know, hundreds of hours of gameplay in the one game. Yeah. And so for me, if you're a big Nintendo fan, or even just a casual Nintendo fan, but you want to get a Switch for Zelda, or you just want to get a Switch and Zelda's the game that you get with it, I think that will keep you happy for, you know, a couple of months. Splatoon 2, I think, will be fantastic. The first one was great. So like there's a trickle, and I mean the other thing is I just think there's probably so much more to be announced that we just haven't heard of.
You think so?
There's something like 50 third party developers that are apparently contributing.
Yeah. But are those on it? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Are those unannounced ones ready for this year?
Well, yeah, I would expect.
It looks like a very Spartan lineup this year. Yeah. You know, I just don't know if they've done enough to convince people who already weren't convinced. Yeah. If you know what I mean, you know. So anybody who's a Nintendo fan, anybody who owns a Wii, anybody who got a Wii is getting a Switch because they are diehard Nintendo fans. Did they do enough to bring any extra people over is really the question, and I'm not sure that they have yet. I think the hardware is probably more appealing, but I mean there's some crazy things in there too, you know. I know that you're not too into it. I have no interest in online gaming, but a big omission that people have been talking about is a lack of natively supported chat features in order for setting up matchmaking and stuff like that. I know they have the app available for your smartphone. Well,
and apparently
stuff,
matchmaking as well is handled by the app, so you can't even matchmake in the game. You need the app to be able to do that. which
seems crazy. I mean, I don't personally care, but but a lot of people out there will. No kind of trophy or achievement system the same way PS4 and Xbox have. Again, not my cup of tea, but there are people have voted with their pound, shillings and pence here. You know, people like that kind of stuff. And then a big one was no bundled game. You know, the Wii sold, you know, Wii Sports sold the Wii effectively. You know,
I think it's like the top the top 5 best-selling games ever. Because
to not have 1-2 Switch would seem to be the obvious choice. Why that's not bundled in at the start for the, you know.
It was the same with Nintendo Land. Like, it should have been bundled in.
Why they haven't done that, I don't know. So it seems like they've learned a few lessons, but maybe not learned enough of them. You know, they learned, okay, people want a Mario from us. People want a really strong launch game like Zelda. But there have been a few wee things where it's like, those are some of the things that guys complained about in the past. You know, should you not have maybe, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I hope, really, really hope that it all goes well. but there are concerns still.
Yeah.
There are definitely concerns. But yeah, I mean, the console itself looks cool. I love the idea of, a console that you can, and apparently I've heard that the transition from when you drop your tablet into the dock to then playing on your TV, I've heard that is seamless.
Yes, instantaneous.
It doesn't miss a beat. That sounds cool.
Yeah. I know, and that's the thing. Like, obviously, Nintendo know families are gonna want this for in the car. Like, they have their 3DSs, but if they want those bigger games, this is the way that they can do it. And so, I think it is a smart decision.
I know the other thing that people are complaining about, the peripherals, the cost of the peripherals is out of the park. It's crazy. Like,
significantly bad.
Like, it's like they're not gonna shift those things unless they reduce them a bit. You know that people, what is it like? I only know it in dollars because that's what I was reading it on. But it was like $80 for an extra set of Joy-Con controllers. That's like, that is crazy. You could buy, a 3DS nearly for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could buy a whole system for that.
And that's the problem. When you put in
the
technology,
Pro controller, the dock, all these things seem to be a bit overpriced. I don't know. It seems like by the time you factor in, $300 for the system, not bundled with anything, so then you're going to spend what, I can't remember. As I say, I can't remember off the top of my head what it is in pounds. But the sad and unfortunate fact is we usually pay roughly in pounds what they pay in dollars in America, which is crazy. But say it's nearly £300 for the console, £50 for the game. You buy another extra couple of peripherals. That's getting costly. Yeah,
you're getting back up to the kind of price that people said this console can't be. £350. But whereas realistically, it is going to be that kind of money.
So are people going to look and go, well, I could spend that money, or I could get a PS4 and Xbox One. They have big back catalogs now. I can pick something up cheaper, get a lot of games with it, and they are power isn't everything, but they are more powerful. It has to be said. So I don't know. They still that seemed to be their moment to sell this thing, but to me, they still have a lot of selling to do. I'm not saying that they can't sell this. I hope that they do, but they still have some things to prove, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm still going to be a day one purchaser.
Oh, I have no doubt that you will be, Josh.
I can't not get Zelda. I mean, obviously I have the Wii U, but why would I play it on that if I can play it as intended, on the highest specs on the best console for it? I mean, in all honesty, I can't see me playing it anywhere other than my house. I want to play it on the big screen, from start to finish. If there's some sort of grinding or wee side missions stuff like that, maybe I would be tempted. But I've got this sort of weird OCD about playing the whole game.
I do wonder about this isn't a convergence point of their portable and home consoles, is it? I mean, they're not going to phase out the 3DS with this tablet. I mean, that because the 3DS offers stuff that the tablet doesn't. Course, I mean, this isn't going to become the new Nintendo handheld.
No, and that's the point that dual screen gaming, I swear by it. I think the Wii is fantastic, and since the DS, handheld gaming hasn't been the same. It's been so much better with dual screen, and so what the 3DS offers is so different from what the Switch will offer that it makes sense to have it as two side-by-side products. Apparently they are actually considering a successor to the 3DS.
Okay.
But I mean, that's the same as day one when the Switch is released. Nintendo are thinking about the next console. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So saying that they're thinking about the next handheld could mean it comes to nothing.
You have reminded me of something when you said dual screen, second screen.
Yeah.
You said earlier in this podcast, in fact, that you were a big fan of that. That's not supported on Switch. There is no second screen, capabilities.
That's the suggestion, because if it's in the dock, you obviously don't have it in your hand. The only way you could do it is if they allow the 3DS as a controller. Yeah. Which is possible, but they've said no previous peripherals or control options work with the Switch.
So I guess here's the question then. Given that you are such a big Nintendo fan, what are you less keen on? Like, what are there things that you do think that they've done wrong? I mean, maybe we've touched on them with the third party stuff. I mean, do you think that, are there things that you know, are sorry that, you know, are you sorry to see the end of second screen? If that's the case, are you?
I'm definitely sad to see second screen gaming go. Like playing games like Assassin's Creed, which is a multi-format game, was just so much more satisfying on the Wii, on the Wii U, and even like something like Dark Souls, which is very like Zombie U, in that when you go into your bag to go through your inventory, the game doesn't stop, so someone can still come and attack you while you're working through your inventory. So actually having it on a second screen would be amazing. From Software actually mentioned as developers working on the Switch, and so potentially a Dark Souls collection, you know, it could be coming to the Switch. That's what's rumored. You know, people have been talking about there being a Dark Souls collection, and so again, if that was dual screen, it would be perfect. But you know, that's obviously not going to happen. The other thing, I suppose, like, I have to admit, power has almost always bothered me. Like, it's never affected my enjoyment. And even something like Unity, where I was like, this game looks spectacular, an hour after starting to play it, that meant nothing to me. But the fact that it is basically tablet technology, so it is closer to something like an iPad. Now obviously it's a higher spec, but I think other tablets could catch up with it soon. And again, if that's possible, then basically the unique selling point is Nintendo games again. And that's,
because the dock doesn't add any additional processing power. It allows it to, I'm trying to remember exactly what it does. It allows it to run, because the tablet is 720p. And then when you play it on the TV, you can get full 1080p. So the only thing that the dock does is allow the processors to run faster. Additional cooling, maybe. I think maybe that's it. So it's not a super powerful console by any means. But
like I said, you know, I could get rid of my Xbox One, PS4, and be happy with my Wii U with the power it has. So, but it's just,
power isn't everything, of course.
Well, of course, but it's the reason why it's a big concern is how easy, therefore, is it to port the new FIFA as opposed to your own FIFA. And you know, as an example, are people playing FIFA on the Switch playing against people who are playing on the Xbox One, or can they only play against other Switch players? The suggestion is that's the only way it's going. And for me, unified online is what should happen. Like when you play on your PlayStation 4, it should be PC, Xbox, anyone. First person shooters is maybe the place where that makes a difference because you've got, you know, mouse controls. But generally I think unified online is the way it should go. Because if I'm playing Call of Duty on my PS4 and a couple of my friends are playing FIFA on the Xbox, it's like I don't want to buy a whole other console just so I can play with my friends. You know, whereas if we could all play FIFA together regardless of the consoles. And the same for the Switch.
Cross platforms, it's got to be the way forward.
So that's the thing. You know, developers have said the Switch is easier to develop for than the Wii U was, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's as easy as the One or the PS4. And the hope is that it is. But that's what, you know, where the power comes into being a concern. But
we shall wait and see.
Day one anyway. Well, I think that's probably gonna wrap us up.
Do for tonight.
Yes. Sorry to movies and etc. fans, you got a wee bit shortchanged today. It's been mostly games, but that will change. I
didn't have an awful lot of etc. to talk about tonight. I must admit, mostly games and movies.
I'm the same.
But I mean, I think this will be an evolving format. We'll figure it out. We'll get better at giving each area their due, I guess.
And if people have ideas about what way they want us to do it, if you want us to split it up as 3 separate podcasts, games, movies, etc., or if you want to make sure that the first third is games, the second third is movies, third is etc., we can do that. But just whatever makes it easier for you.
Etc. could be, I mean, it could be anything. I mean, I don't know if we actually explained exactly. I mean, etc.
Well, etc. is literally
it could be anything
else.
Anything that isn't movies and games that we fancy talking about. So,
or that you want to hear about. So also feel free to tweet us questions at games, movies, etc. And we will hopefully have some email addresses and stuff up on the website. The website should be live with a good few articles when this podcast goes out, so please do check them out. Leave some comments there as well, and even ask questions of what you'd like to see in the future. and hopefully we'll have another podcast up soon.
Indeed. Are you going to also give out your own Twitter name as well?
I'm not really sure if there's any point to that, considering I don't tweet.
Okay, so
but I am at Joshua Galbraith on Twitter, so if you want to follow me and see my one and only tweet,
yes,
you can see a picture of me that looks nothing like me. However, it is me. And Steve, you are?
I am at Big Design House, which is a handle from a previous life when I was doing some graphic design and various things like that. But who can be bothered changing these things, you know? So that's my Twitter handle. If anybody wants to reach out, ask any questions, things like that, please do.
And if you've made it this far, thanks for listening.
Indeed.